Hey guys, I just want to say that if you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. I'm a small content creator and could really use your support. I live stream 100% of the gameplay for games that I review, and I'm also always trying to keep up with the big named movies that are being released. If you would like to support the channel monetarily, you can do so through PayPal, or even better yet, you can get yourself some merch from my Teespring store. If you want to get better connected, you can do so through the social links in the description below, and please do consider joining the Discord. If you do, you can voice chat with me through my headphones while I live stream, and you won't be recorded on YouTube or Twitch. That's all I've got, guys. I hope that you really enjoy the video. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Mike, and this is Mike's After Action Reviews, and this is
Sam, and I have a question for you. Who you gonna call?
So, as always, guys, we're going to start with the movie's production. So, Ghostbusters Afterlife had 3 production companies. Columbia Pictures, which is known for Venom, Let There Be Carnage, which was released earlier this year. Braun Studios, which did Joker from 2019. Did you see Joker, Sam?
I did, and I loved the movie. It was so great.
Yes, it was a sad movie, but it was done really well. Very entertaining.
Excellent.
And then Ghost Corps, which did Ghostbusters 2016 and Stranger Things, which was 2016 to present. Ghostbusters 20... My understanding of Ghost Corps is that Ghost Corps was set up for the Ghostbusters 2016 movie, and they were supposed to launch into, like, their own cinematic universe, almost like the MCU and stuff like that.
Or the MonsterVerse, kind of like how Godzilla and King Kong, stuff like that. That's the entire MonsterVerse as well.
Yeah, so they were set up to do that, but Ghostbusters 2016, it was so good that they decided, let's not sully this movie by making it a cinematic universe.
Let's call it that.
Okay, full disclosure, that Ghostbusters 2016 was total dog shit.
Yeah, it really was.
We haven't talked about this, but I think it was dog shit. Sam seems like he thinks it was dog shit. And I'm really excited.
I was
really
very
excited.
upset when I saw everything about it, and when this movie came out, I was like, okay, this may be some light coming into it, but we will get into that when we get to the review.
Yeah. And I'm very excited to be able to have to go and censor out all of those swear words that we just said. But anyway, 2016 was... But anyway, so this movie was written by Gil Kenan, who is known for a movie called A Boy Called Christmas. Actually, Gil Kenan is more of a director. So he wrote A Boy Called Christmas, and then he wrote on this. But he's actually a very good director. So, but anyway, he doesn't have much writing experience. Dan Aykroyd, who...
Of course.
Yep, the actor, and he was in the original Ghostbusters movies, and then he wrote for Ghostbusters 2016 as well. They probably...
That's upsetting. That's really upsetting. I'm sorry.
They probably...
Because I'm a big fan of Dan Aykroyd. I've loved him since I saw him when I was a kid.
And He's
a lot of movies.
Few.
He's a comedian, is what he is. He's not a comedian. He's a comedy writer. He's very hilarious. He worked with John Candy several times. He was with Chevy Chase. Several people. It's going to make the movie longer, the video longer. But either way, Dan Aykroyd's an excellent writer, extremely funny in everything he does.
Yeah. And I think probably what happened was whatever he wrote, they didn't put into 2016. Yeah. And then also this movie was written. The third writer is also the director, who's Jason Reitman. He is the director of the original Ghostbuster movie. This is his son. Because it was Ivan Reitman directed the original Ghostbusters. So Jason Reitman Yep, Jason Reitman directed this and helped write it. He also wrote and directed the movie Thank You for Smoking from 2005, which I thought was a really good movie as well. And also The Front Runner. Most recently, he also did The Front Runner from 2018. I haven't seen The Front Runner, but I saw Thank You for Smoking, and that was a really funny movie. I really enjoyed that.
Either one of those.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It has a dry humor, which if you see, like, this movie has a lot of dry humor. But we'll get into that.
I was dying in the theaters. I looked like a moron, but I was dying and I saw some stuff.
Yeah. Actually, me too. I thought that was it was pretty funny. So moving on from production. So the plot. So the IMDb, as we do here at Mike's After Action Reviews, the IMDb plot summary is: when a single mom and her 2 kids arrive in a small town, they begin to discover their connection to the original Ghostbusters and the secret legacy their grandfather left behind. So that doesn't quite give everything as far as what I think you need to know. So no spoilers, as always. We're not going to do spoilers. None of the reviews on Mike's After Action Reviews are spoilers unless they're marked spoiler. But Egon Spengler, who is
Harold Ramis is the actor's name.
No, Harold Ramis. But Egon Spengler is the original Ghostbuster, played by Harold Ramis. Basically, it's years and years later. The main characters are his grandkids, and his daughter and grandkids. Okay, and he basically believes that there's this terrible evil coming, and so along with what IMDb said, just to realize, like, there's this terrible evil coming, and they've got to stop this thing. And the Ghostbusters
stuff, like real Bible thumping stuff is what, to quote the great Dan Aykroyd from the first one, great Bible thumping stuff.
But the problem is that the Ghostbusters don't exist anymore. They're broken up. They
30, 40 years, give or take. I think.
So for a long time they've been, they're not really in the game anymore. So, there's that. The movie, I think, some important things to note about the plot here is that it opens with a really mysterious kind of opening, where they actually do introduce the bad guy, but you don't know. So it's a little bit of you don't know who it is. So it's like it's a mystery, like, ooh, who's the bad guy? What's the thing? And then you discover that throughout the movie. And then another thing is that, so because of the time between the first and second movies, because of the time jump between the first and second movies and then this one, there's some people who still believe in ghosts, but people don't really believe in ghosts anymore. It's kind
of like how it was back then.
Right. So back then, in the original movies, they didn't really believe in ghosts either, but they were seeing them. So then the Ghostbusters came in, and then nowadays they're just kind of like, oh yeah, those crazy people from back in New York in the 80s, ooh, those guys were all high or something. And so here though, the family, the main characters, they don't really believe in ghosts anymore, even though they're unknowingly they are
unknowingly part of what their grandfather Egon set forth back then.
Right, but they don't know. But I'm saying, like, they don't know that they are Egon Spengler's grandkids and stuff like that. But which is like the lightest spoiler because you find it out immediately in the movie.
You figure it out eventually. If you are a big fan of the original Ghostbusters, as I don't know about how you are, Mike, I actually am. I've seen both of them several thousand times. I love them because I love the actors. It's because the actors I love. I love all the actors. I love them. I figured it out right away. I was like
immediately.
Immediately, because when I watch a movie, I'm like looking. I don't look for Easter eggs per se, but I was like, I figure things out pretty quick. But I was like, that's Egon, and then I was like, that's their grandkids, because the way of the big one is the main character, and we'll get into it in a second, is the daughter. The granddaughter of Egon. You figure out pretty quick here. she's a genius. She even dresses and acts like him. So it's like, well, that's Egon. So that's a tiny spoiler, but it's not going to ruin the movie because you will figure it out eventually.
Yeah. I mean, I would say no. So you're saying eventually, but I basically I think that almost everybody's going to immediately be like, oh yeah, because
I'd say immediately, yeah.
There's even some huge evidence. Like it's not a spoiler at all. But anyway. So they don't know that they're related to a Ghostbuster. The mom obviously does, but that it's revealed. Like they talk about it later in the movie about it. But so they don't believe in ghosts. They don't believe in any of the supernatural stuff. And then there's some things start to happen. There's some mysterious earthquakes. All of this, by the way, has been everything that we're talking about has been in the promotional material. Everything we've talked about so far has been in the promotional material. So then there's some mysterious earthquakes. There's a thing with like how in creepy ghost movies there's like a chessboard and the chess pieces move and they're like, oh wait a minute, what's going on here? And there's some of that type of things are going on and they kind of notice that. So, but basically, I think one of the movie's greatest strengths is actually the emulation of the first movie. So this movie. Yeah, so this movie, I think, just we'll get into this here, and then the rest of this will be more about the review. So I never talk about any of like the big media controversy, really, but I am going to touch on it a little bit here because it's very important to this film. 2016 was supposed to start a cinematic universe, and it really, really failed very badly. This movie is recovering from that. Like 2016 almost destroyed the franchise. This movie is trying to fix that. And so how do you make a sequel to a movie 30 years later? You bring in the nostalgia, you emulate the formula of the first movie. They're basically
very much so.
Yeah, basically what they're doing is they're like setting up the Ghostbusters for future films.
Yes, and I think in this film they did it extremely well. I said before we started recording here that I was sitting like on the edge of my seat, not because of the action per se, because I was like so giddy because I'm a very big fan of these films.
Yeah, and there is some action. We'll talk about that, but there is action some. Much more than in the first and second Ghostbusters. So,
but you have to think of the time. You have to think about how the times were back then.
It's just like Star Wars, just like the originals of Star Wars didn't have that much. But then the prequels came out and they were like just action packed, which is what was so awesome about them. Okay, so moving on to the acting and characters. So, first, when I look up on IMDb, I think that what they do is the most famous actors and actresses first, and we're not going to do that. What I decided to do is I'm going to start, when we name off the actors, it's going to be like main character, and then down the line from how central they are to the movie. So the main character of this movie is Phoebe, played by McKenna Grace. And I want to point out she's only 15 years old. And she takes this movie, she grabs life by the horns here. I'm serious. She does an amazing... Yeah, this was really good. She's known from the movie Gifted from 2017, and she was also in the movie Malignant, which was released earlier this year. So her acting in this is, by far, I think probably some of the best child acting I've ever seen.
Definitely. She was phenomenal of how she portrayed the way her character's supposed to be.
Yeah, no,
it was so good.
And actually, it's funny because we saw Eternals, and Eternals, they had a 14-year-old girl who was an actress in that, and she did really good. I would say that these two girls, they should start an Oscar for like best child actor of the year.
I believe so. I think they should, because those two would definitely be in the running.
Yeah, I don't know if they may already have that, but
yeah, probably. Now, I pointed it out before. I'm going to say it again. Like the way that Phoebe, the actress name is Phoebe, the actor portrayed her to be just like Egon was so amazing. It was like bar none, just so similar, because she's so like antisocial, but she's also very smart. Yeah, she got the same kind of glasses, almost the same kind of haircut, and she's a female. And Egon's like he was like 30 something in the movie, and her hair was kind of wild as well. But it's the way she was socially awkward, didn't really know what jokes were, stuff like that, and how Egon was back in the past. If you remember, it was just that alone. It was like, this is amazing. Just seeing that alone, I was like, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, no, and that's the big thing too, is that she actually is really smart in the movie, and she has that dry humor because she's social awkward, so she doesn't know. Well, I don't know what the opposite of dry humor is. Wet humor. There's no wet humor in this movie. If you know what I'm talking about.
She makes the stupidest jokes that we've all heard 1,000 times that are very lame.
But because of the way that she delivers, her delivery of it is really funny.
Delivery is what's killing. But of course, in the movie, everyone's like, "That was dumb," but that's the movie. That's what it's supposed to be.
So she's the main actor, and so the main character, and is the driving force behind the movie. She is accompanied by Logan Kim, who plays Podcast. That's kind of her friend in the movie. I don't think they give him a name in the movie.
All I know him is just Podcast. Never really says his name.
Yeah, but he's and the actor there is 13 years old. So they have some really good kid actors in this.
Oh, yeah, definitely, guaranteed.
So he was in a TV miniseries called Home Movie The Princess Bride from 2020, and yeah, he does really good. So this is a small time actor. Logan Kim is. He does really good. He's kind of a I don't want to say less intelligent, but person. It's because he's not dumb. He's not less intelligent. He's just kind of like a goofy. So where Phoebe is socially awkward, and is not the best at like telling jokes and stuff, this kid is kind of like a weird, goofy spaz, and the energy of those two characters bouncing off of each other is what really makes a lot of the comedy in the movie work.
And it fits like beautifully in the movie. Yeah. It does.
And it really makes the way that they work together was really good. So I was really happy with that. But yeah, so she's kind of like the straight man, and he is the kind of the hype guy. Yeah. And then so those two kind of push most of the narrative of the movie. Then you have Mr. Gruberson, who's played by Paul Rudd, who's known from Ant-Man, both Ant-Man movies, but Ant-Man from 2015, and then he was in a TV series. He's in a TV series which just started this month, a couple of days ago. I think it was like the 16th it launched, called The Shrink Next Door. So definitely check that one out with Paul Rudd. But he plays Mr. Gruberson, who is a source of a lot of comedy in this movie, and
Paul Rudd's funny, so it makes sense.
Yeah, but he is the summer school teacher who is also a seismologist, and he's kind of studying the earthquakes that are going on, trying to figure out what's going on with that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why Phoebe would have to go to summer school, because I thought summer school was just for people who failed normally.
My gathering is she wanted to go because she went because she wanted to go.
Yeah, like her summer. So Phoebe's summer activities is going to school, because she likes knowledge. She likes learning. Yeah. Just like But it's funny though. He has some of the funniest parts of the movie, because like the first day of summer school, he comes in and he's like, "Hey, you guys have to be here, and I don't want to be here, and you don't want to be here either. So we're just gonna watch the movie Cujo." And so it's like a bunch of teenagers. Well, like she's probably it's probably like preteens, like 12, 13-year-old kids watching Cujo.
So like 8th grade.
If you don't know. Grade. If you guys are too young, anyone watching this is too young to know who Cujo is. Cujo is a movie about a Saint Bernard that murders a bunch of people. It's a Steven Spielberg movie.
It's a Stephen King movie. It's a book.
Or Stephen King, yeah.
Stephen King movie, and it's about, not one of my favorites. I've seen it. I enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of Stephen King movies. But it's about a Saint Bernard who gets rabies and starts killing people out of nowhere because he's not so in the head.
Yeah,
but
and it's very graphic.
It's a very gory movie. If you've seen any Stephen King movie ever, you know it's twisted and you know it's weird. And you it's seeing to a bunch of 8th graders.
Yeah, and it's not appropriate for kids at all. Like this, he probably should have lost his job for doing this. But anyway, it was really funny. There's a couple of movies that he shows that are all stupid like that.
Stephen King movies, actually.
Yeah, so then he's in it, and but anyway, yeah, so Paul Rudd is really funny. He kind of, the biggest contribution that he has to the movie, other than some stuff that we're not going to talk about because of spoilers, is the seismology. So he's a seismologist, and he's helping Phoebe try to figure out what's going on with these mysterious earthquakes from the town.
Yeah.
So. Then we have Finn Wolfhard, which is the coolest name in Hollywood. He plays... Yeah, he plays Trevor, and he's known from It in 2017 and also the Stranger Things Netflix series, which started in 2016 and is... the next season comes out next year.
Very good. He was in another horror movie, too, I think, that just came out.
Well, I know It. I mean, he was in It.
No, not It. One after that. He's like about a babysitter. He's like a preteen. And basically, this... Because he started out as the... he was the kid with the glasses who was insulting everybody in It. Obviously, the wavy hair. You can tell with the wavy hair alone. But he was in another horror movie. I can't think of what it is right now. But another one that just came out, I think, last year. And I really wanted to see it. Never did, sadly. But basically...
Go on.
But basically, it's this kid is growing is a kid actor in horror movies, which is it's not a bad thing per se, but he's very good at being in horror movies because in It he was amazing in It. He was apparently really good in this other horror movie.
Something weird.
And of course the.
1 second, Sam. I forget. I just wanted to see how old he was. Because I think he's old.
15, I think he's like 17.
No. He's 18. Yeah. So in the movie he's 15, but he's actually 18. I just wanted to point that out.
Well, he looks 15 because he's got one of them baby faces.
Yeah. Sorry, I just pulled up my thing, and so now it's on it went over you. So now in the review, get a little peek behind the curtain there. I have a little web page open up here for looking up interesting things as we're doing these reviews.
That's not at all.
Yeah. So Finn Wolfhard, he's a pretty good actor. Stranger Things, I mean, that's a phenomenal show. So at least I really liked the first 2 seasons. The third season was like, it's okay. It's okay. But anyway, so he's really good. His character, Trevor, is Phoebe's sister. And he...
Brother.
Yeah, he's kind of like a side character. He's
very
not...
much so.
No, I mean, he's very much a side character, but I mean, like... I wouldn't even say... I would say that you probably could have gotten rid of him and him not
too much.
Not too much, but he's kind of in there to take a break from the ghost stuff. There's a little bit of a romance between him and another character. And there's kind of a like dealing with the family dynamic. So it's not bad that I'm not saying that his character is bad or anything in the movie. I'm just saying he plays a smaller tertiary part of the movie. So
it does do the same thing that kind of in a sense Bill Murray did. I'm comparing him to because it's literally what Trevor does what Bill Murray did back in the day, and Bill Murray was a Ghostbuster, but this kid is literally breaking off from all the ghost adventuring to have a side story that's still kind of like it's a love interest, but it's still kind of funny in a sense the way he's approaching it because he's still not used to talking to girls yet. So that's kind of exactly the best way I can describe it is what Bill Murray did with Sigourney Weaver in Ghostbusters.
And that's good because I didn't think of that either. It's like, so it's very similar to like Bill Murray's side story romance with.
And that's why he brings me on these channels to do that kind of stuff for you.
Okay, so then we have Celeste O'Connor, and she plays Lucky, and she's a very new actress. She's only been in 4 movies. Her most recent and also most famous one is a movie from 2020 called Freaky, and she is the love interest for Trevor. It's interesting because she's supposed to be around Trevor's age, but she's actually 22 years old, and he's supposed to be 15, so she might be like 16, 17. She's actually 22. She's
17 or 18 in the movie.
Okay, but she's still pretty good as far as like her age. She doesn't look much older than any of that. So her big thing is really just love interest. There's not a whole lot to go off of as far as big moments for her in the movie, but still you do get that kind of character development between Trevor and her, so that's interesting. Then you have Carrie Coon, who is the kid's she plays Callie, who is the kid's mom, and she's known from Gone Girl in 2019, and she also voiced Proxima Midnight in the Disney Plus series What If, which was released earlier this year, and I did a review of it, so definitely check out the Disney Plus series What If review, and then go watch What If you like what you see in the review. I'm not going to give it away to you. So she's the mom, and basically the adults in this movie really are kind of side characters. This is really all about these kids, which isn't bad, and that's why it's so awesome that they have these really great kid actors. Even
yes, I think they did spot on with the kid acting for this movie, because we're so used to having adults doing this, and all of a sudden the typical atypical movie is like kids. No one believes the kids. Of course, that happens to this one. It just so happens that the adults end up being part of the storyline when you watch the movie, if you pay attention. And if you watch the movie, you'll see similarities to the other two movies to this one, except for the fact that the kids are the ones ghostbusting.
Well, I mean, even in movies like what you're describing, like with kids, and then they kind of get the adults, and nobody believes the kids, and then the adults kind of take care of business. But in this one, like, the kids take care of business. Like, the adults tend to be the ones that handle it in the end, but here it's like really the kids, which is it was interesting to see. And they really relied on their younger talent in this, and they did a really good job. The casting director deserves a major raise.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So, okay, moving into the miscellaneous section. This is where most of the review actually happens here. What do you got for me, Sam?
Overall, for miscellaneous, the setup from the beginning to end was absolutely phenomenal. Okay. The similarities between the first two movies and this one are uncanny. It was golden. There's parts in there that I refuse to give, but I so want to give them. But they're so good.
Some of the stuff we can't give away. So
exactly, but the phone call would happen. You know what I'm talking about. That's all I'm going to say. And I was freaking out. It was amazing. Yeah. And when they started saying names of when they find out who the bad guy actually is, and they find that out, I was on the edge of my seat, and I was like, I was getting really into it. Imagine if you will, throughout the second half of the movie. I mean, the build-up was good. The build-up was amazing, and all of a sudden, when the second half of the movie, when they start figuring things, putting two and two together, and that starts exploding after that, and just all the way to the end. Imagine Endgame. How Endgame? I'm sure most of the viewers have seen Endgame.
From Marvel, yeah.
Yeah, of course. How Endgame happened, and all of a sudden, when Cap, spoiler, when Cap picks up Mjolnir. Sorry if I ruined it for you.
Old movie. Come on, guys, you gotta have seen it by now.
I know. That's part of the joke, though. No, but when he picks it up, and then the whole crowd just goes. Right, that's how I was when I figured out what was going on, and I was just, and I felt like a moron, but honestly, I don't even care, because there wasn't 20, 30 people in the movie. The movie theater wasn't packed, and I was sitting in my little corner by myself, and I was just sitting there. I was like, hitting my pants. I was just like a little kid in a candy shop, freaking out of how good not only the movie was, but how they're literally bringing back the Ghostbusters. And I think this movie definitely brought back the Ghostbusters 100%.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. So you think that they captured... So I don't think it was necessarily as good as the original. I don't think it was as good as the original. But I think that
I'm not saying that at all.
They have definitely... So normally what people say is lightning in a bottle. It's like you catch it and you have it that one time and you can never recreate it. And they didn't recreate it in very... like the second movie was good. Okay, it wasn't as good as the first. I don't think this was as good as the first, but I do think that they kind of recaptured, maybe not all of the lightning, but they captured a spark of that lightning from the original.
I 100% agree with that, because I think what they did with this one is they should take this same, maybe not the same, definitely same actors throughout, whatever, same kind of writing. Whoever they did this one, I 100% agree. Think that they should take that and move forward with it if they want to rebuild a Ghostbusters.
Cinematic universe, yeah.
Thank you. Ghostbusters Cinematic Universe, because this movie, if they do that, this movie is definitely the prime time to do it, because they definitely caught a spark of what that original lightning was, and they should just run with it, because it was over. It was. I'll tell my review at the end, but what they did was they just kept referencing
callbacks, like Easter eggs, callbacks, and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. But it's very nostalgic. It's a very good nostalgic. It's something that when you were growing up as a kid and you watched Ghostbusters, you sat down and you learned who Bill Murray was, who Dan Aykroyd was, and you learned all these other Ernie Hudson, the black one.
Yeah.
Sorry, but yeah, Ernie Hudson and Harold Ramis, Igor. And you learned how all those guys were, and they keep referencing them back to who they were, and they actually have. This isn't a very big spoiler. I'm gonna say it though. They have clips of the original Ghostbusters video on YouTube saying that their advertisement on TV. They have.
Oh yeah, the ad. Yes, yeah.
The ad, and they had the original ad. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. And I was just on the edge of my seat. It's not even. It's action packed per se, but it's not like crazy action packed. But it's on the edge of your seat of what they're going to do next with these characters, and they just kept you guessing, but you kind of knew what was going on. As soon as you found out who the character, who the main bad guy was, and you do, you know what's going to happen next, but you don't know how they're going to get there, and that is the excitement part of the whole movie. And when they get there, it's just a mind blowing. It's amazing.
Yeah, so my piece about this with the miscellaneous section. So the nostalgia, I agree with you about the nostalgia. I think that what they did, so some movies try to basically do what is called nostalgia baiting, which is where they just try to throw nostalgic stuff. And I mean, they put nostalgia,
right?
Right, and then they put nostalgia stuff in here, nostalgic stuff. But they did it in a way that was organic and really good. Like, I just think that this was the obvious, logical progression for the series, being that we didn't ever really get Ghostbusters 3. So this is Ghostbusters 3. 2016 wasn't very good. This is basically, if they weren't going to do a Ghostbusters 3 immediately after Ghostbusters 2, this is the movie that they would make. They did really good. A couple of things that I've heard. I never watch reviews before doing these. Well, I have, but I don't. I don't watch reviews before doing my own reviews. But I had heard, while listening to some reporting on like box office numbers and stuff, that this was not a comedy. Like that it wasn't as funny. It's a little bit more serious. And while I do agree that this movie takes itself a little bit more seriously, I disagree that it's not. Yeah, no, it does take itself more seriously, but I disagree that it's not a comedy. It's dry humor. There's much more dry humor, which is kind of my type of humor. I did like that. So I still was laughing in the theater. I mean, yeah.
I was laughing my butt off, and I looked around like everyone was looking at me, and eventually I was like, I don't care, because it's funny. It's generally, to me, it's funny, 'cause I don't mind
Phoebe's
dry humor.
awkwardness.
I also like slapstick comedy as well.
Yeah, so Phoebe's awkwardness, and then Paul Rudd, some of the things that go on with Paul Rudd is pretty funny, little quips and things.
Paul Rudd would ad-lib that stuff. I don't know if it's true or not, but I feel like he did, because he's generally actually that funny. He actually
exactly.
is that funny.
He's pretty funny. So you have that, and then they have some little romances, kind of like we talked about between Trevor. The mom and Paul Rudd's character, the teacher, kind of have a little bit of a romance. There's a little kind
of. That's kind of key to a storyline, though. That's kind of key to kind of the climax of the movie.
Right, and it all does. Yeah, it all feeds into. It does feed into the movie organically, so that's nice. So along with kind of the romance and kind of Phoebe's awkwardness and kind of finding her friend podcast, you kind of get this coming of age story for Trevor, who's developing his talking with girls and kind of becoming a man and coming of age, and also Phoebe as she kind of tries to come out of her shell and goes into this whole fighting ghosts thing. So that's nice. So this is it's dry humor. It's kind of a character drama, but at the same time, as I said earlier, there is some action. There's quite a bit of action. The technology is done really well.
Good amount of action.
Yeah, no, like with the Ghostbusting, and you can see, you'll know if you watch the trailer, which will be playing right here as we're talking about this. You will see that the CGI and the special effects and stuff has come to the point where we do get some of that cool action-y kind of stuff.
Yes, very much so. And it's beautifully done. It's beautifully done.
Right. No, and that's what I was going to say next is the great CGI, the practical effects. I'm really happy with the practical effects in this movie. I love when they do practical effects. They did practical effects. It was really good.
It's not over the top, and it's not like undergoing either. It's
exactly
right where you need to be.
So with the character drama that we're talking about, this was a great introduction to the characters, to these characters to kind of carry this torch. Now, one thing that is not a spoiler, if you've watched any of the promotional material that we're going to get into, it normally would be a spoiler, but it's not, because of the promotional material for this. I just wrote down, the boys are back in town with an exclamation point. They bring back the original cast. And
except for one, but that's for a certain special reason.
Yeah, we're gonna talk. Yeah, and I'm gonna talk about that too here in a second. But they bring the original Ghostbusters back. They bring the original guys back. And normally, what they do in situations like this is they'll bring the old guys back, like right at the end, and old actor, he or she will do like one thing, and it'll end the movie. It'll beat the bad guy. Here, they were brought in such a way that they actually feel. Like they come in towards the end of the movie, but not like to come in and just do one thing. You know what I'm talking about, how they do that sometimes with the characters. I think that they did it really well. They brought them back in a way that did it really well, and even they even set it up to where they may be, if they do a sequel to this, which I wrote sequel setup ? If they do a sequel to this, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, and Bill Murray may actually, like the way that they set it up, Bill Murray and all those guys may actually be in the sequels to this as the original Ghostbusters.
Pending.
Yeah, well, I mean, just the way they set it up.
It's because they're so old. And to me, the best. I'm so glad you mentioned that because it's the biggest part I want to talk about. I swear to God. No, it's when they set it up. It was like they never left. They acted just how they did back in the '80s.
Exactly.
And I was dying because how Bill Murray is, that sarcastic humor he is. Mm-hmm. He had that same sarcastic humor, and I was dying in the theater in my chair laughing. How funny it was.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Dan Aykroyd was being Dan Aykroyd. He was being in the character he plays Ray. It's Ray something.
Ray something, yeah. I know what you're saying.
Ray. He plays Ray, right? And he also is, obviously, Egon was the genius, and Ray was also the smart one. Ernie was the guy who was just, Ernie Hudson, the black guy, was the one who was just kind of just there to be there. He wanted a paycheck. And Bill Murray also was a paycheck. He was. I'm not wrong, though. He walks in for a paycheck. And he ends up, he loves doing what he does. And they all act the way they're supposed to act. Like Ernie kind of comes in and is like, "Hey, let's get it together, guys," and just does their thing. And Bill Murray's being sarcastic. I was dying laughing, and Ray was being awkward because he's smart and he's like, "Eh." And it was to me, it was just hilarious. I was dying in my chair, and the way they brought it in was just genius. How they brought that in, and you didn't see it at all. You never expected it when they came in.
Oh wow, your camera's doing something weird. Okay, wait.
I'm moving back. I'm moving back and forth. Sorry, I'm getting really excited.
Sam's getting excited as his camera must have been too. So I really enjoyed that, the way that they brought them back, and they did it really cool. A couple of things that I want to say. They, like I said, they do kind of set up a sequel. Did you see the after credit scenes? There's two. So there's two after credit scenes.
I saw both of them, and the first one I saw, I was like, I almost threw my hat, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, what? Because it's that's mostly more nostalgic than anything else, but that's why I loved it, because I was like,
they set it up to kind of be like a sequel, and then they also pull at your heartstrings a little bit with the nostalgia.
Very much so. But I think that for this kind of movie is definitely, they needed this kind of thing, because everyone I know loves the Ghostbusters, loves Ghostbusters.
Yep. And they love the original Ghostbusters. That's the thing. Like, we don't want brand new Ghostbusters.
No, we
want a handing off of the torch. Like, we want new Ghostbusters, right? We want a handing off of the torch to new Ghostbusters. We don't want some brand new. Yeah, we don't want some just brand new made up whatever story. We want the original Ghostbusters.
No, and I think this movie handled it beautifully.
Yeah,
the handing off part and everything. If there's a sequel, I'm hoping there is now, because the way they set it up was gorgeous.
Yeah. So then I just want to say, though, there is a cameo in this movie. If you caught the cameo, that's a little bit interesting. Right at the end. It's not from the original Ghostbuster movies or anything, but there's a cameo. I'll after we're done with. See, Sam obviously didn't catch it.
I know. I think I know what you're talking. You said not the original Ghostbusters. I think I got it. I think I got you. I think I got you.
It's not one of the Ghostbusters or anything movies. It's just that there was just an interesting cameo, so you'll check that out.
I think I know what it is.
Yeah. So then also, I think probably one of the greatest credits to this movie, and to show you
Oh yes, thank you for saying this.
So the greatest credit to this movie is that they show a doomsday clock with these dates, and it says like 1980, 20 whatever, 20 2020, 2021. You know what year is not on that calendar? 2016. I was like, there is so in canon.
Everyone's like, yes.
In canon explanation of why this movie and 2016 are not like, okay, it's because in this movie's universe, there's no question about it. 2016 Ghostbusters never happened. They wrote it out, and I'm very happy with that.
I think it's because the 2016 Ghostbusters was a remake or a reboot of that one, kind of making
a hard reboot.
A hard reboot, to whereas this one is a continuation.
Right.
A sequel, as it were.
No, exactly. And I just, people who really hated the 2016 movie are really going to enjoy that, and people who really loved the originals are probably going to enjoy that as well, just to see that. So we talked about the 2 after credit scenes. The last thing I want to talk about before going into the final statement and review score is, along with the nostalgia, and I said this before, they kind of pull at your heartstrings a little bit.
Very much so.
Harold Ramis died. He was
passed away 2017.
I want to say something like, actually I'll look it up on my little thing here, but Harold Ramis passed away, and they didn't. Let me see. Harold Ramis.
I think he was in the 2016 Ghostbusters.
2014. Yeah, he was not in it. He died in 2014.
No, he was not. He was supposed to be in it, but he wasn't.
Yeah, so Harold Ramis passed away, and he was the writer and kind of the conceptual guy behind the original Ghostbusters movies. So he wrote...
He's a very funny writer, just like Dan Aykroyd was.
Yeah. So he wrote the first and second movie, and I believe that he even wrote a third movie, or was writing a third movie or something. There was some production problem, and they never were able to make it, so he never got to complete the trilogy that he wanted to make. And his character, Egon, is in this movie, but Harold Ramis is not, because he died. And they do a really, really good job closing the loop and giving a tribute to Harold Ramis and just kind of saying goodbye. And there's even a scene where you literally see the original cat. I'm not talking about the characters. I'm talking about Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson. They literally say goodbye on screen to Harold Ramis, not to Egon. And it's emotional. You see, I mean, like, I don't know if this is true, but I would like to think that it's actually them saying goodbye to Harold Ramis instead of just their characters.
You talking about right before the credits roll in that part?
Yeah, where they actually... No. I'm saying the characters say you see Harold Ramis's character.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about...
And they say to him, "We love you, goodbye." And I like to think that it was actually the actors saying goodbye to their actor.
That was definitely... I want to think that too, because, I mean, no one hated each other. They were all friends. They did 2 movies together. Yeah. Bill Murray and Harold Ramis were in Stripes together. A very hilarious movie. They were all like really comedy good friends, and so I would like to think that they did it too.
Yeah, and I mean it was beautiful. I mean it was actually beautiful.
It almost brings a tear to your eye. It really does because 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 they did it so beautifully. Yeah, they did it so amazingly.
Yeah, and then at the end, like what you were saying is it says there's a credit thing and it says for Harold. And that's really
Harold, and that to me that got me the worst. I was like, oh God, I didn't cry. I'll admit that. I'm a big guy. I didn't cry. I don't cry. But
so a few tears, one tear. One tear.
I felt that my heartstrings just pulling. But overall, it's a very beautiful movie.
Yeah. So it's funny, dry humor. It does take itself a little bit more seriously than the other movies, but it also is kind of a tearjerker because it does bring in the nostalgia and stuff. So, all right, so let's move into our final statement and review score. What do you got, Sam? Tell us your final statement and review score.
Statement. I've said it over the course of the video. I'll say it again. I loved it. Such a great movie. I'll suggest this to anybody. I'll say to your family, my family, their family, their family. I love. Great movie. Go see this.
He's
movie.
Very excited.
It's so great. Huh?
I said he's very excited.
I was telling you, I was trying to tell everybody, I was like, I can't do it because I got the video, but it's so honestly amazing because I'm a very big fan of the actors, all the actors. I'm a very big fan of the Ghostbusters. Very big fan. I loved it. I walked in open minded like I always do, and as soon as I saw what was going on, I was sunk in. It's a very great movie overall. Like you said, funny in some parts, very serious in others, very emotional for other parts. So overall, very, very well-rounded movie overall. If you're looking for some comedy, some action, quite a bit of action actually. For a
I was surprised. I was surprised.
A very big amount of action. And then, of course, there's a little bit of love scenes. You don't see nothing. They don't even kiss or nothing on the screen.
Not like sexual, but just like a little bit of a romance stuff. Yeah.
You can feel the romance going on, right? It's overall a very well-rounded movie, and I'm going to say excellent. My score is excellent because everything is so well-rounded, and because they didn't just put the nostalgia down our throat. They actually placed it where it needed to be. It was so gorgeously placed how the nostalgia was, and how the handoff, in my opinion, is happening or has happened. It was overall a very good movie, so that's why my answer is excellent for a movie.
Yeah, so I just want to say, I want to say that I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I really agree with you. I want to tell you that right now, so we watched The Eternals. Sorry, not The Eternals. We watched Marvel Eternals. And in Marvel Eternals, the critics said that movie was basically mediocre. And we both agreed. And I was very surprised. I was like, what the heck is this? Now we've returned to normalcy because I just looked it up. On Rotten Tomatoes, the tomato meter puts this movie at 62%, and it's been dropping for critic score. And the audience score is 90.
About this one or Eternals?
No, this one.
Okay.
So but it was weird because, like I said, we agreed with the critics, but here now we've returned to normalcy where we disagree with the critics because the critics are saying it's 62% and it's probably going to go rotten, but the audience score is 96%. And I want to say that so the two movies that I've seen this year that I really loved are Dune and this movie. I'm serious. I think that this was really good. They did such a wonderful job at doing the handoff. They really paid homage to the original, to Harold Ramis, the original writer. But they paid homage to the original. Yeah, they paid homage to the original movies. They did it like when you see sequels, they did the sequel right. And I mean, yeah, it was funny. It had a surprising amount of action. I'm very happy with. I mean, so the thing is that as far as the actual story of what happens in the conflict and the resolution of the conflict, like I said, it kind of emulates the first movie, and that's fine. It's fine because this is a setup. And mostly what makes this movie so great is the comedy and the character drama and character interaction that is going on.
Very much so. I 100% agree with you. Is the whole setup was just, from start to finish, there was no spot where you doubted something.
Well, one thing I want to say is that I did hear that there were, from somebody, again, as I was listening to some reporting of like box office numbers and stuff, is that it had some pacing issues, but I disagree with that. I don't think that there was pacing issues. I think everything flowed very well. Yeah.
A beautiful flow, a nice flow, and nothing ever was slowed down. If it was slow, it's because it had to be slow. It was setting up for something major to happen.
Right.
It was never a slow moment that didn't need to be slow.
Right. No, I agree. I think that it moved smooth. It was very good as far as pacing. I don't think that there was anything that was ever. I mean, there were no issues with this movie. I mean, everything was good. Casting, directing. You could tell that the directing was really good. The writing was really good. The child actors did really good. I am going to give this movie an excellent on my scale. We both agree on this one, and we've disagreed in the past. But I mean, I really think that this was excellent too. I think that the two movies that my two favorite movies so far, unless The Matrix and Spider-Man come in and really sweep us away, I think that these have the potential to be the top movies this year. And even if they're not, I mean, top five definitely. Even if The Matrix and Spider-Man take the 1 and 2 slots for the best movies this year, I'm going to say that these would then take 3 and 4 between Dune and this one, 3 and 4. So I probably liked Dune a little bit more, but I'm still going to say that this is definitely a solid, excellent film. So.
Yeah, I guarantee it. And it's been, the thing is we don't really agree a lot on these kind of movies, but we have the discussions, and this is why we have the discussions for the channel for this reason. We figure out what parts of the movie we both do, because we both have different perspectives on it. But I'm just kind of glad that we both agree that with this one, even when it comes to Marvel Eternals, we agreed to that one as well, how poorly that movie came out. And I'm just kind of glad that every time we do a review, we have our own views on it, and we both can see how what we take away from the same movie. Yeah. And that's kind of how I think reviews should be these days.
Well, one thing that's really nice is that Eternals was a little bit of a, and then this is just a nice little pick me up heading into the end of the year. So
yes, very much so.
Anyway, so there you have it. Here at Mike's After Action Reviews, we say it is an excellent movie. Definitely go see it. I'm encouraging you guys, please go see this. We need this movie to make big box office numbers and to have some legs and to continue making more money, so that way they can make sequels. They can keep this thing rolling. So, of course,
check out Mike and all his on his channel. Get his likes going. He's a very small content creator. Content creator, excuse me.
Sam can't talk today.
Apparently I can't. I need more caffeine is what I need. Yeah, because I'm all jittery and stuff. Yeah, but go give it all his videos a like, especially the ones. Not especially, but look for me and all his the videos we've done. Get those numbers up, man. Get those numbers up, people, so that way we can get this channel rolling more.
All right, and we really appreciate everybody. Yeah, like Sam said, leave a like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Appreciate it. We want to thank you all for watching and just say God bless you all and have a good day.